Most of our world is comprised of oceans, and only 5% of all of the oceans in the world have been explored. This means sometimes things can go wrong on ships. They may mysteriously disappear and reappear, or sometimes the entire crew vanishes with no trace. So here are some massive vessels, also known as ghost ships, which were left behind. Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste is one of the most famous ghost ships in the world. The ship set off on November the 7th, 1872. On board was a captain, his wife, and their 2-year-old daughter. There were also 7 crew members. They were heading from New York to Italy. They were set to arrive in 1 month, but they never did. Instead, a British ship caught sight of the Mary Celeste drifting in the Atlantic. The British crew went on board the Mary Celeste, but to their surprise, no one was on board. The Mary Celeste had half a year's worth of food still on it. All of the crew's belongings were still there too, but a lifeboat was gone. Seeing as all of their possessions were still on the ship, this rules out piracy. So why was this ship abandoned? One prediction is there was some issue with the ship. The captain then ordered his family and crew onto a lifeboat, but for whatever reason they never reached land. However, no bodies of the captain, his family, or crewmates were ever found. Carroll A. Deering. The Carroll A. Deering was a cargo ship. The ship had a 10-man crew, and in 1920 they were going from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil to Virginia, USA. But in 1921 the ghost ship was found on the shores of North Carolina. The sails were up and it looked like a meal had been prepared, but the ship was totally abandoned. The 10 crew members had simply vanished. Also, everything on the ship was missing. This included the lifeboats, emergency supplies, logbooks, and navigation equipment. The ship remained abandoned on the shores until it was destroyed by a storm. All of the investigators said everything about this was very suspicious. The FBI even investigated for many years. They followed leads on pirates, hijackers, and more. But everything came up fruitless, and it's still an unsolved mystery to this day. Octavius. The Octavius was a trading ship. In 1761 it was going from China to London. The captain decided the best way to get back to London was to sail through the Northwest Passage. This was a route no one had ever successfully navigated before. And sadly the Octavius was not the first, as they never made it to London. The ship was missing for years until it was finally spotted off the coast of Greenland by a whaling ship. The sails on the ship were all ripped. The whaling ship's crew boarded the Octavius in case anyone needed rescuing. But they found this ship 14 years too late. The entire crew was literally frozen solid. The captain was frozen, sat upright at his desk with his pen in his hand. The whaling ship's crew was scared they'd boarded a cursed, haunted ship. So that's why they took the logbook and abandoned this ship. One thing that remains a mystery is how the Octavius survived on the waves for 14 years. And to make things even scarier, after the whalers left the ship, it was never seen again. Right now, no one's sure where the Octavius ghost ship is. SS Baichimo. The SS Baichimo was used to trade fur with Inuit settlements in Canada. But on the 8th of October 1931, the ship got stuck in ice. Some of the crew went to find help, while 15 stayed behind in a wooden shelter they'd built. But weeks later, on the 24th of November, a blizzard struck. Their ship disappeared, assumed to have sunken. But then the SS Baichimo reappeared 45 miles away. For decades later, many people kept seeing the SS Baichimo. Amazingly, the ship seemed to have survived the very tough conditions. The final sighting of this ship was off the coast of Alaska in 1969. Did the SS Baichimo finally sink, or is it still around today? The Copenhagen. The Copenhagen was a Danish naval vessel. In 1928, it was en route from Argentina to Australia, but it soon became clear that the ship was missing. After years of searching and speculating, what happened to the ship and the crew remains a mystery to this day. To this day, there are many sightings of the ship reported in the Pacific Ocean, but by the time any rescue ships go out to look, it's disappeared again. What do you think happened to this ship? Cars 2. In 2007, 3 men went on a ship named Cars 2. They were going on a boat trip along the coast of Australia, but 3 days later the Cars 2 was found drifting alone in the water. All of the men's possessions were still in place. Their life jackets were hanging on their hooks, and there was even a laptop open on the table. But the 3 men were nowhere to be seen. Some believe the men fell out of the boat somehow, but no bodies were ever found. This has led some to believe the men were taken by aliens, but I'm not convinced by that. High Aim 6. In 2003, the High Aim 6 was spotted off the coast of Australia. When rescuers boarded the ship, they found no crew. The ship was Taiwanese and held lots of rotting fish. Also on the ship was all of the food and belongings for the crew, and lots of fuel as well. Investigators found no sign of trouble on the ship or struggle. The cell phone of the ship's engineer was still receiving calls from Indonesia. One crew member was apparently tracked down. He said that the captain and engineer had their lives taken. The crew then simply packed up and went home. But I don't know if that's true or not. The guy could have been making it up. Dimitrios. Off the coast of Greece, you will find the shipwreck of the Dimitrios. This ship is mysterious from the get-go. The 220-foot ship was built in 1950, but the origins are unknown. It's believed the ship may have been used to smuggle cigarettes between Turkey and Italy, but when they were caught by the authorities, the crew set the ship on fire. But really, it's unknown why the ship has been abandoned off the coast of Greece. Today, it remains a very scary and popular tourist attraction. MV Hoyita. The MV Hoyita was said to be an unsinkable ship, but in 1955 it vanished. 5 weeks later, the ship was found partially submerged. The lifeboats were gone and all of the cargo was missing. There was also no crew. The only thing left behind was some used bandages. None of the passengers were seen either. Some theorize that the captain may have got injured. The passengers and crew then may have used the lifeboats, but got lost at sea. But the true story behind the MV Hoyita remains unknown. It's pretty amazing that vehicles as big as these ships can vanish into thin air. At any given time, there's over 85,000 vessels on the sea, and every year, on average, more than 24 ships sink or go missing. Most of the time, these are recovered and the crew do make it out. But sometimes they don't, and it remains a mystery. Now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Comment below which was the scariest ghost ship in this video. If you want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. But as always, thank you for watching. There are some more videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.